Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and as we await the next balance patch, which is expected to be on the 20th, I thought what better time than now to go over what I think they will be. My predictions, they're always 100% accurate. They're actually usually pretty close, but we'll see how we do this time. But be warned, my predictions do include a wild ban and one card that's really gonna piss me off. It's gonna be a heartbreaker if it happens, but the writing is on the wall, and I think it's gonna happen, so you'll wanna stay tuned for that. And if you enjoy our content on the channel, you feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit the sub button down below, give the video a like, it helps out a ton, and we are really close to 62K, so thank you guys so much for that. So if you looked at the front page of HS Replay, you'd think the meta is actually pretty balanced. You got 6 classes above 50%, only in Warrior and Death Knight kind of lagging behind. But if you know anything about, well, first off, win rates and all of that, the meta, not so fun. Very much high rolly, very much dictated by Rogue, in particular, Death Rattle Rogue and Miracle Rogue. And well, when you have a brand new class like Death Knight and you're trying to sell Path of Arthas and all this new stuff, you're probably going to want to make this a little bit better. So I am expecting a major patch. Starting off, I do not think a single Death Knight card will be nerfed. I actually think they'll probably buff a bunch of cards. I have no idea what you would buff or what you would do. You'll probably add a attack point here, a health point there, a corpse discount somewhere else, whatever. It'll be interesting to see what they buff. I personally wouldn't buff anything, but you know they want Death Knight to kick some butt, make it competitive, and sell this new set and their new class. It'll just be interesting to see if, like, say Frost Strike, which requires 2 Frost runes. It'll be interesting to see if they change any of the restrictions going forward. Maybe some cards will be less or more, but overall, I would expect buffs for Death Knight, but not nerfs. But we're not going to speculate on buffs because it's just like impossible, so we'll see what happens. Demon Hunter, I expect to see at least a couple of nerfs. It's gotten really out of control with its mana cheat, whether it's Spell Demon Hunter or Quest Demon Hunter, all built around the Relic package or the quest. This quest has dodged nerfs the entire way, and honestly, I expect that to remain true. The big enablers of what makes the both decks so unbelievably powerful is Unleash Fel, which I do expect to get nerfed. I would expect it to either go to 2 mana or not go face, but honestly, they rarely ever change that, especially Altruist. Back in the day, that card was nuts and they just bumped it by a mana. So Unleash Fel, I think will get nerfed, and I think it goes up to 2 mana. The other card I expect to see get hit is Relic of Dimensions. The mana cheat this card creates is just ridiculous. You can play your Vault on 2, play Phantasms on 3, you do whatever on 4, and then you go into Relic of Dimensions and blow your opponent out with absolute disgusting mana cheat. And I mean, Skull of Gul'dan was arguably a worse card than this, and it costs 6 mana after it got nerfed, so the least they could do is bump Relic of Dimensions to 6, and hopefully those 2 things will dial Demon Hunter back a bit, but you still want the spell stuff to be competitive. You just want the mass mana cheat blowout to be a little bit later. So yeah, those are probably the changes I would expect for Demon Hunter. I really don't know what else you would hit, so yeah, those are the 2 I'm gonna go with. Druid, since the Denathrius nerf has actually dialed back quite a bit. It's not quite as oppressive, but it absolutely crushes slow matchups. And while there's one card they always talk about nerfing, that is yet to happen. It's come up that it's been close and all of that. So maybe now, even though it's gonna rotate in like a couple months, Scale of Onyxia, I'm gonna go with that. It goes to 8 mana. They've talked about it so many times, and it's like the big way that Druid recovers and survives. It's one I'm not super sure on. It's one could definitely not happen, but I'm gonna go with scales to 8. You could argue for Guff to go to 6. Took off the full mana crystal, put it to empty. You could argue Guff to 6, but I think the big mana cheat card that should get hit and will get hit is a new Brecon. 8 mana, 7/7, gating armor. This turn, your minions cost armor instead of mana. This allows all the brand shenanigans. And again, we know brand's not rotating. Core already confirmed that. We know nothing's gonna happen to it, probably until April. So I'd put a new Brecon where Kun is. Where Kun. It's similar in nature, at least that it can refresh crystals. Put it to 10 mana. I wouldn't even bump it to 9. put it to 10. So if you haven't played Guff, the best you can do is a new Breck on and then something else. It's a lot harder to abuse. Even at 8 mana, if you have 10 full crystals, there's a lot of shenanigans you could pull off if you just have like a tiny bit of armor. So I would outright bump this to 10. Hunter just got nerfed and is struggling, so I'm not going to suggest any Hunter nerfs. Mage, I basically never see on ladder. Not going to predict any mage nerfs. Paladin is doing all right. Nothing's too oppressive. Wouldn't suggest any Paladin nerfs. Priest, on the other hand, is an interesting one. Boon Priest is one of the best decks in the game. It's all about playing Boon of the Ascended, blowing your opponent out on turns 5 and 6. It's disgusting. It runs barely any new card, if any at all, but is only really played at top legend. It's not a popular deck. It's not impressive in that regard, but it creates a terrible gameplay experience. So I don't know if they're going to hit it. I don't think you hit Naga Priest. I don't think you hit any of the Control Priest cards. If you're going to hit one deck, it's Boon Priest. So I could see Boon of the Ascended going to 5, because again, Radiant Elemental should like go to 4 with Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's what I would do. That's the problematic card, but most likely it'll rotate in April. That's my guess, just like Bran and all of that. So yeah, I'll go with Boon to 5. I don't know how much that really changes things, because they don't basically pay mana anyways, especially when you have a card like Priestess Valsh, which is 0 mana, gain mana. I'd love to see this get nerfed. I just feel like they love their mana cheat, and they barely ever nerf the mana cheat card. So I'll go with Boon to 5 just to appease the high level pro players, but overall, this just doesn't affect too many people outside of that. Looking at Rogue, I think it's time for Rogue to get warriored. I honestly do. If you look at Sunken City, Warrior got obliterated by so many nerfs, and Rogue is in that state where they have multiple archetypes that play a bunch of different cards that are beyond frustrating and terrible to face. I expect a large amount of Rogue nerfs. I don't think they hit any of the new stuff like the concoctions or anything, but 100% Sinstone Graveyard is going to go to 3 mana. There's no way this card stays where it is. 3 mana disrupts a lot, makes it a lot worse to play. I would love to get rid of the stealth part, but they rarely ever change the core mechanic of a card. I imagine this goes to 3, but I don't think that's it for the Miracle deck, because Necrolord Draka has been iconic for its scams, its ridiculous, just silliness, that I think it goes to 5 too. I think they both get bumped by a mana, making the ability to scam with those cards way worse. And yes, that means Shadow Step. I don't think it rotates. I don't think it changes. They love this card. This card has gotten more cards nerfed in the history of Hearthstone than I think that any other card. And yes, the location and Draka are likely going to get nerfed, because I don't think Shadow Step will change whatsoever. There's also Death Rattle Rogue, which needs to be addressed because it is a problem. You have a choice. You have a choice. Sketchy Information or Graveyard. One of those have got to go to 4 mana. One of those have to change. I feel like this is the one that gets the snowball going way faster, so I'm gonna say Sketchy Information to 4, but honestly, Graveyard, pretty much just as likely it's a coin flip at this point. And last, I'm not done with Rogue yet. I'm warrioring it. I'm just gonna predict that Swift Scale Trickster also goes to 5 mana, because this is just a stupid card that enables a way too much mass mana cheat, and to slow it down by 1 turn allows other decks to not get blown out quite as fast, and then you're hitting a mass mana cheat card, which most of my suggestions don't, but we know how they feel about mana cheat. They really like it, and they rarely hit it, so we'll see. But yeah, Trickster, I would think to 5. Lastly, Shaman, nothing's gonna get hit there. You don't even hear about Shaman. Warlock, I'm gonna talk about the Wild Ban that I mentioned. I predicted this, might have been an expansion too soon, but I predicted Tome Tampering will get banned from Wild. It just has to at this point. Warlock is the only class with a positive win rate in Wild, and Malchezaar's Imp and Tome Tampering are problematic, and I don't think they're going to nerf Malchezaar's Imp, which is the big enabler as well. But I feel like, you know, Discard Warlock has existed for so long in Wild that they don't want to hurt that card. They'll just eliminate Tome Tampering, at least for now, until it rotates to Wild in like over a year. Warrior, nothing's going to get nerfed. There's got to be some buffs for Warrior. I would expect maybe in Rage Warrior, Control Warrior, something like that. But again, I'm not going to predict buffs because that's just like impossible. And then neutrals, there's 2 I'm going to mention. Astalor is now like one of the most popular cards, if you take a look at that list there, of neutrals in the game. It's very powerful, but I think it's fine for a card that you have to work for to get the value out of. Only Druid really abuses it in a stupid manner, and that's a Druid problem. I wouldn't nerf it. I really like the card. To me, it's no Denathrius, at least yet. I hope it doesn't feel that way at some point. I just think it's a really rad card, and I would be shocked if it gets nerfed. However, if you look at that list of the most popular cards, Prince Renathal, still the most popular card. They mentioned possibly nerfing it over a month ago. They mentioned it again right before the latest expansion came out saying they keep an eye on it. And I am predicting, and it really bothers me because this is my favorite card ever. Honestly, my favorite card ever. I think Prince Renathal will get nerfed to 35 health. I will be very surprised if it doesn't happen. Too many people have been crying over and over on Twitter. Prominent pro players and casters and all these people that just want to go face. And I feel like this is a game that's never catered to control, has never catered to long games, and they have held out as long as I feel like they can. And I think Renathal's going to get nerfed. I'm gonna be really upset about it, but there's nothing I've argued everything I can for this card, and I'm gonna make that prediction. I think Renathal gets nerfed, and I think a lot of people are gonna be upset, but let's hope I'm wrong, because I really don't want that to happen, because I think Renathal is one of the best things to ever have happened to Hearthstone, and to ruin that because of a loud minority or whatever, when it's popular not because of power level but because people love it, is the absolute worst reason to nerf a card. But you know what, I see the writing on the wall, so I'm gonna predict it. Let's hope I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below what you think I'm right about, wrong about, what you think is gonna get nerfed that I didn't even mention. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.